It's winter. It's Alaska. And it's time to conquer it all, flying a bush plane on skis. I'm back at Alaska Floats and Skis. For those of you that watched my float series where I achieved my commercial seaplane certificate, you're used to seeing this place all lush and green in the summertime, nestled on Christensen Lake, but that was on floats. And now I'm in Talkeetna doing the skis part of Alaska Floats and Skis. It's the first week of March in deep winter. It's absolutely beautiful, blue skies, and it's time to now take a bush plane on skis. As a pilot, you actually don't need a ski rating of any kind, or even an endorsement for that matter. That said, it seems like the perfect winter activity. The flying is different enough where it just makes sense to get some extra training before going it alone. And of course, wrapping it into an experience where you get to be at the lodge and experience the wintertime just sounds like the perfect setup. My eventual goal for this trip is to learn some new skills and perspectives about Alaska flying while also giving my wife a really special flying and adventurous weekend. She's not a pilot, but does love some quality outdoor time. It's also her birthday in a few days, so this would be a much needed break. Before she arrives, however, one of Alaska Floats and Skis instructors, Lana, would show me the ropes and get me started on my ski training.
I need the 3, 2. Are you recording already?
Yes. That's 100% going in.
Part of this course is for teaching people who don't fly in the winter in Alaska a lot, kind of what to expect and how to take care of the airplane in a harsh environment. So the big difference between ski flying and just your standard on an airport flying around is the conditions are much harsher. The environment that we're flying in can be a lot harsher. And for some of the flights you're going to be doing, it's also very remote, right? The glacier flight, the mountain flights. So a large part of the flight is the preparation for that harsh environment. So the first thing, as you've already seen, we've got wing covers and engine covers on the airplanes. Before we get going, we're going to have to dig the skis out more than I already did. So for an hour-long flight, there's 2 to 3 hours of prep and cleanup. So it's a lot of work, but it's very rewarding. Dawn describes this course as half how not to get stuck and half how to get unstuck. So for the most part, we won't be talking too much about how to get unstuck. We're going to be talking more about the first part, which is how to not get stuck. That's going to the glacier.
Okay.
So the seatbelts in this one are kind of funky.
Yeah, I figured there's going to be a lot of that involved right now.
That one's yours, I believe. Yeah. That one is yours.
Okay.
You're going to need to go both. Okay, so we'll do that one first.
Okay.
Okay, and then can you get through that? Yeah, stick your arm up, I think. There you go. See, goofy. We'll get that. Oh, right, you're that one. Awesome.
Okay, here we go.
Beautiful.
Power applied after our run-up, it's all go from here. Taxiing a ski plane is like being on ice skates with a giant fan pulling you along. It's a fun ride finding the plowed areas where things should get more smooth, But you've got to think way ahead because this thing's moving fast, it's slick. You know, you've got the whole tail wheel thing going on, but you've also got things bumping around quite a bit. And without enough prop blast to get great rudder effect in this, you end up being on the pedals just constantly as the tail wheel or the tail ski jostles back and forth. It's kind of smooth in the powder, which makes sense. But then as we get into some of the stuff that's been tracked out a little bit by local residents here at the lake, it just gets squirrely, and I was really struggling with it. Takeoff was completely different because takeoff, once you slam that throttle forward and get that tail ski off the bumpy ice and snow, it's a short and wild ride with some rudder control to where you're lifting off, especially with how nice the performance is here. Really, we're only up on the skis for several seconds and then we're lifting off. So that part's fun. Once we got up in the air, again, the performance was awesome. The little pacer that could here. And immediately in our case, we're shown Denali on this bluebird day, just an amazing, beautiful winter day to fly. And this is one of the redeeming factors of wintertime, is flying in wintertime. It is really beautiful. Now we get our reward. Now we get to go out and we get to have the ultimate adventure machine out here in the snow. If you're enjoying this video and doing flight training now or in the near future, check out our online ground school. Pass the written test, prepare for flight training, and become a safe aviator. And you get to support this channel at the same time. Join today at angleofattack.com. All right, back to the video.
So unlike a wheel plane, you can't just find the runway, locate the winds, and then land. There's like a whole process. So especially since you're here after a big snow, it's gonna be nice because there's hopefully gonna be no tracks on any of the lakes, so we're gonna get to lay the first tracks. So then we have to decide how we're gonna lay those tracks and where, and that's completely up to us because we've got no one else's work to base ours off of. So the first thing we wanna do is overfly the lake and look for any holes in the ice. If the snow is really wind scoured, we're gonna try and avoid any like bumpy, hard areas. And then when we've decided where we're gonna lay our first tracks, we're gonna come around and we're gonna do our first pass, and we're gonna put the skis in the snow, and we're gonna put some weight on them, but we don't need to put all of the weight on them. We wanna keep ourselves moving. So once we're on the ground and we know that we're on the ground, we're gonna think about energy management again, and we're gonna use power because momentum is our best friend here. Once we're in the snow, it's going to try and stop us, so we want to use the momentum we already have. So when we lay our first tracks, we're going to kind of keep the power in more than you think. It's helpful to keep our tail up, and so we're going to kind of keep it in a wheel landing attitude as we drag the skis the first time. So once we've done our first pass and we come back up, the next thing you want to do is fly back over your track. Sometimes that means doing like a big figure 8 and doing a right pattern instead of a left pattern, but the purpose is we want to look down at our tracks and see what they look like.
Lana and I come up on Larson Lake where we plan on laying some tracks, or another way of saying building our own runway in the snow. But first, we need to evaluate our lake just like I did during the float rating. Now we set up for our first landing, basically a normal approach other than keeping in power for longer while we lay tracks and we manage that energy, as Lana was saying. I have a little trouble on this first one, as you can see, trying to figure out just how much energy I need, and it looks like I had a bit too much. The name of the game now is to lay down tracks again, and again, and some more. Okay, that's getting close. That is starting to look pretty good to where we could settle down our weight on it. So that's it for my first ski flight. Join us on the next video where we jump into the airplane and head out for a 2-ship adventure on the nearby Swan Lake. Chelsea will be joining us as part of her birthday weekend, where she gets to take advantage of the beautiful scenery, get a little break from the kids, and enjoy the lodge there in Talkeetna. The views are absolutely spectacular during this flight, and we have a great time until things start to go awry, start to go a little bit south. We end up in a battle getting the plane unstuck and end up in quite the harrowing situation that brings all of this training to bear. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a thing coming up in that next video, and turn on that notification bell to not miss a thing in the future. Thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed this adventure. See you on the next one in the next video, and until then, throttle on.